So next up, podcast listeners, we have the Daily Biden Dumpster Fire. Yes. So you just heard me talk about how the United States, the UK, and Australia, are getting into this pact for submarines and sharing technology and building more subs and working closely together to be the countervailing force to China. Well, Biden was on a Zoom call talking about this with the Australian Prime Minister and the UK Prime Minister. And here is the article from the New York Post. President Biden appeared to forget the name of Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison on Wednesday night while unveiling a key nuclear submarine pact, calling him pal and that fella from down under. The 78-year-old commander-in-chief, notorious for his flubs, was flanked by Morrison and UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson on giant screens as they unveiled the new AUKUS military alliance. Thank you, Boris. And I want to thank that fella down under, Biden said after a pause while turning toward the screen with Morrison, who'd already spoken. And so we actually have a clip on this podcast, listeners. It's really funny because I'm going to explain, if you can't see, if you're not watching Mark and the Millennials on YouTube and you're listening, I'm going to explain to you after you listen to this clip what had actually happened because you can see it if you're watching. And anyway, here's the clip.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Boris. And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
So what happened there is the president of the United States is trying to look presidential. So he's standing up during the Zoom call behind a podium. And behind him is one huge screen with the UK president, and the other is the prime minister from Australia. So you've got Boris Johnson behind him, and then you got Scott Morrison on the other one. And so what happens is Biden walks away from the podium as he's saying, oh, thank you, because they throw it to him. And he's like, that guy from down under, because he walked away from his podium and he forgot that quickly, the name of the prime minister of Australia. And so then he walks back and he goes, yeah, way to go, man. It's just under his breath or something like that. I mean, this is embarrassing, but this is the classic Daily Biden dumpster fire from good old Joe Biden. And in Australia, this made front page news all over. I mean, all over, as you can possibly imagine. The only funny thing about this in Australia is even though it did make front page news, Australians were tweeting all over the place about how they were kind of glad that Biden forgot the name of their prime minister because they all can't stand him because his COVID policies are Stalinist, which they are, of course. So person after person in Australia were like, good, don't call him by his name. We try to forget his name every day. It's just pretty good stuff, except that if you're an American and you're on this side of the planet, you're really embarrassed that your president just can't remember anything. In fact, I'm sure he doesn't even remember what he had for lunch. There's no doubt about that.